Yeah, I would just say to let them keep having fun. I think so many times when kids are really talented at a young age, their parents almost like the sport, it doesn't become fun anymore. It's just about winning or performing well. And I think a huge part for me is just continuing to enjoy the game of golf. And if you're not having fun anymore, then you shouldn't be doing it, because you gotta love what you do. So making sure that they remember that it's still something that we get to do, and it's a fun game that we get to play, and you should still be loving it.
Hi, this is Ted Bishop along with Crystal Morse, joining you today for the High School Golf Podcast. And today, Crystal, we're going to talk about the positives regarding high school golf participation. And I think this podcast is probably universally applicable to participating in any team sport, but we're going to kind of focus on golf.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So with golf especially, only because that's what we're around every day, we know how challenging it can be for these high school athletes to, they're trying to balance a lot of different things. Golf isn't the easiest sport. So this is what we're trying to kind of help these athletes as they approach high school golf, not only focus on the result and on their score and on their maybe their ability and their skill level. Obviously, we want those to improve, but if you're in a frustrating time or if you're questioning why you're doing it, maybe as a parent, you're wondering if it's going to be a successful adventure for your child. We want to focus today on the positives of competing in high school golf and how these can help your junior golfer. If you're a parent or maybe if you're a coach, what you can focus on during your practices and kind of all throughout your program. So I'm going to just focus on a couple of the positives that I find, like as a parent, as a previous player, and obviously as a coach, what I think of, playing in high school golf. So I think the number one, these actually aren't in order. It really just depends on the junior. Number one positive thing that I think kids can take away from it is just in as far as preparation goes. Playing in a tournament, practicing, preparing for a competition. This is no different than preparing for maybe a test in school, maybe in the future at your future job, preparing for a project or something like that. Just the aspect of preparation. How do you prepare for something? Preparation oftentimes results in confidence, so that preparation aspect is important. Also, I think the accountability aspect, being accountable to your teammates and your coaches, showing up on time, putting the work in, bringing a positive energy, that's something that can be taken away from a team sport. And obviously dealing with disappointments. So dealing with adversity, dealing with disappointments. We know it's not always going to be successful out there. There's going to be hard times. And I think being able to learn, this isn't something that comes natural. So being able to learn to deal with those disappointments is something that can help carry them through life. And, lastly for me is just kind of dealing with different personalities on the team. And how do you deal maybe with personalities, maybe with some people that aren't your best friends or that you may have these differences. How do you deal with them? So those are all things to me that are positive in high school golf.
Yeah, I think being part of a team is just a precursor of what everyone's going to face at some point in their life, particularly when you get out of high school, or you get out of college, and you get into the workplace. And you have a job, and you may have an indifferent opinion of people you work with. You may not like some of the people you work with. You may love some of the people you work with. But the bottom line is everybody shows up at a certain time. You perform functions throughout the course of the day, and you try to accomplish something that benefits the people that you're working for. And I think that really is the essence in a lot of ways of what high school sports is all about. I think the other thing that it does for high school kids is it teaches them organizational skills. They have to be here on time. Obviously, they're committed to a particular time frame, and they may have to do extra work outside of the structure of practice to improve as a player. And these are all things that, again, you're going to be faced with at different points in your life. You may have to study harder at college in a particular major to be able to fulfill the GPA GPA and even graduate. So just some of these basic habits. But I think the experience, it can be many things for many different players on teams. You're going to have most of your players that are never going to play past the high school level. You're going to have a handful of players who might be elite players and who are going to go on and play college golf. I think one of the biggest values that boys or girls have for high school golf is the fact that it is a life sport. Golf is a life sport, something you can do forever. And so you've got the opportunity, even if you don't have much basic knowledge on golf when you come in as a freshman, to learn how to play golf. And even if you put your clubs up for the 2 or 4 years that you might be in college and you don't pick them up again until afterwards. I've told many girls this, we're going to teach you a life sport that someday you can go out and hopefully play with your husband, play with your kids. Obviously with guys, maybe they play with their wives, but they have buddies. Or in both cases, men or women, having the ability to play golf can be very advantageous in the job world when it comes to going to corporate outings and entertaining clients. So, there's a million different reasons why high school golf, I think, is valuable. And I would also say this, if you're a good player who's going to play college golf, getting used to being part of a team and understanding that there's other people on the team that are equally as important as you are. You need to be not selfish. You need to serve your role and understand you're part of a unit. A lot of these players will go from being number 1 players in high school to being number 4, 5, 6, or 7 players on their college teams. And I think it's good for number 1 players in high school to be observant as to what the people lower in the lineup are going through, because that could be you someday at the college level. And today, our guest is going to be someone who has really experienced a lot of different things. Crystal, I'm really excited today that our guest is going to be Annabelle Pancake, who is originally from Indianapolis. Annabelle's father, Tony Pancake, is the golf professional at Crooked Stick. Her mother, Libby, was an outstanding collegiate player in her own right, and Annabelle is a former All-American from Clemson. She was recognized on multiple times as part of the All-ACC women's golf team. In November of 2024, she had 2 back-to-back wins on the NXT Tour, and that is a tour that is really a pathway to the Epson Tour and the LPGA Tour School. And in doing so, Annabelle was actually the runner-up player of the year on the NXT Tour. We'll just get a little bit more from her on all that. But she also participated in the Augusta National Women's National Championship. So a lot of very current things going on in her life, and really look forward to her perspective looking back on her high school years.
Annabelle, welcome to the High School Golf Podcast. We're excited to talk to you today, and we're going to go ahead and jump in here. And I just want you to let everybody know just a little bit about your family. You come from a strong golf family, so just talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I come from a big golf family. It's definitely in the genes. Both of my parents played in college. They actually met at a junior tournament when they were out of high school. I think they both won, so that's when they first met. It was in Florida. So they played in college, and then all my older siblings played. 2 of them played in college. And one is now still trying to get in the golf business. So it's definitely in the genes and in the blood. When I was born, I was basically born with a golf club in my hand, which was
awesome.
It's super fun. Yeah.
Very cool. Was there ever any hesitation of going to the golf course? Were you ever like, oh, I don't want to do this today?
Absolutely. I grew up playing my entire life. So at a stage, there's 10, 11, 12, 13, I'm like, that's the last thing I want to do today. I don't want to go to the golf course today. I'd rather be with my friends or something like that. So all my friends who knew me then knew that at that point I did not love golf. The love grew over time for sure.
That's awesome. I think that's a great point too, that, obviously I have a daughter that's 11. I'm kind of going through that phase with her. So little encouragement to parents, your kids may not always love it at a young age.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Annabelle, your dad, Tony, was the PGA of America National Golf Professional of the Year. And when I was at the annual meeting and I watched his video, you were obviously on the video, and you said that he was the perfect golf dad. Can you kind of go into a little bit of detail on what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both of my parents are incredible golf parents. I'm very blessed. I mean, obviously there's highs and lows when your parents both play the same sport as you and they're kind of a coach. They just know a lot. But I mean, they've been so great in the fact that they know how the sport works. They know how challenging it is and they know how much work it takes. So they've been really good about encouraging me, just being supportive of my game and allowing it to be mine. I think something my mom and I talked about when I was around 13 years old is, she said, this has to be your deal. And if you want to take it to the next stage, which at that point was college golf, because I was heading into high school, hopefully thinking to play college, they were saying, this has to be your sport. I can't tell you to go practice. I can't control your game. You have to have the drive and the motivation to take it as your own. And that was really encouraging for me because at that point, they a lot of the times were like, hey, you should probably go practice. So that was kind of the turning point in my career where I was able to take my game, find that internal motivation and driver, which they have been really great about.
So I think, as a coach, one of the things that we observe is there are players whose parents probably do put a lot of pressure on them. And it kind of sounds to me like in your case, your parents really did the opposite. They took the pressure off of you. So fast forward yourself into the role of a mom someday with kids. I mean, what advice would you be directly giving your kids then?
Yeah, I would just say to let them keep having fun. I think so many times when kids are really talented at a young age, their parents almost like the sport, it doesn't become fun anymore. It's just about winning or performing well. And I think a huge part for me is just continuing to enjoy the game of golf. And if you're not having fun anymore, then you shouldn't be doing it because you gotta love what you do. There's gonna be days you don't love it. So making sure that they remember that it's still something that we get to do and it's a fun game that we get to play and you should still be loving it.
Absolutely. No, I love that advice. Annabelle, talk to us a little bit about your high school career. From freshman to senior, what was the experience like for you?
It was awesome. The Zionsville golf team when I was there, I mean, it's always been great. My sister played for the team as well, and both my brothers played there. But my experience was so much fun all 4 years. Obviously, we made the podium at state all 4 years, which is great, but ultimately the best part was just the friendships that I made with the girls on the team and the coaches, Jeff Anderson and Steve Simmons. They were just so great for us, and all the girls that I've played with in the past, I still keep in touch with today. They're all invited to my weddings. Just the relationships that we were able to build was incredible. Obviously winning a state championship sophomore year was super exciting as well. And that's definitely a highlight, but just the memories that I was able to create with those girls and that we still remember and talk about today is like one of the best parts.
Did you come in with a lot of your friends or did you have to kind of build relationships with those upperclassmen? How did that kind of work for you?
I kind of knew of them. I went to a private Christian school throughout most of my middle school. So going into high school, I didn't know many people. I knew of them. And a lot of them knew of me just because of like my brothers and sisters, which was helpful. But I definitely had to kind of work to build some relationships and kind of grow out of my comfort zone because I'm a little bit of an introvert. So I had to learn to branch out and make some friends. But it ended up being great and they were all super, super kind.
Both of my girls played Division I college golf and as a parent, and I think I would speak for them as players, college golf can be a real grind. And I would be curious to get your perspective. When you look back at college and high school, did you enjoy high school golf or college golf more? And maybe I'll just let you answer that question.
Yeah, I've never been asked that question before. That's an interesting question. I don't know. I would say I loved them both for different reasons. I don't know if I loved one more than the other. I think high school golf was definitely more of a fun environment. We were all just it was a big social thing as well. But I mean, you're right. College is different in the fact that you get to college and everybody's good. Everybody on the team was the best in their state. And so you're kind of fighting a little bit more for your spot. But I think the exciting thing about college golf is that everybody is good. So your team is usually pretty stacked. I know at Clemson, We struggled my first couple years a little bit, but by my last 2 years, we had a really, really competitive team, which was super exciting, and that's what you want. So I think I love them both for different reasons, but college is just so fun just because you're all growing together, and that's such an interesting time in life for everybody. So I guess you could say I maybe enjoyed that one a little bit more just because it's more exciting and we're all kind of growing together into adulthood, which is cool.
That's awesome. There's a couple takeaways just that I'm hearing as we're kind of going along. One of them specifically kind of for the high schoolers is you did have to work on kind of growing those relationships. And I think that's important. You may not come into a team, and especially in college, I know you probably weren't friends with a lot of the girls on the team prior. So like you do have to build those relationships. And that's a life skill that I think can really be taken away from high school golf, is learning how to grow those relationships with people that you may not know. And just a takeaway, you haven't really stated this, but I love the vibe, is that you sound like you want your teammates to be successful, right? So, I mean, even though golf is a really individual sport, you mentioned how it was just awesome to be on a team of really good players. And I don't want to overlook that. It's easy to maybe be on a team where you're like, oh, she's better than me, and I'm uncomfortable with that. But you sound like you really just embrace that, and you want people around you that are really good.
Yes. Well, that's the only way you get better, is if you surround yourself with people who are better than you. I think, yeah, you're exactly right. In golf, it is an individual sport, and it's kind of strange making it a team sport. But I think that's good. It kind of helps you understand, like, it's not all about me. And this is a very selfish sport sometimes that we play. So to be able to create a team environment and create those relationships and grow in that area of being able to support one another and encourage one another and root for somebody else, I think is such a great thing. And again, I've talked about it all about their relationships too, just like the bond that you build with teammates and knowing that you're fighting for each other is such a unique thing. That's really great.
And I think to your parents, and especially your dad, obviously being in the golf business, just the importance of relationships and never knowing when you're going to maybe cross paths with these people down the road and how that could benefit you later on. So a lot of high school teams, it's just they have a wide array of skill levels. You may have some girls, obviously, that are elite or good, and you may have some that are struggling to break 100 or struggling to break 90 or whatever it may be. What advice would you give to those players that are in high school right now, just on the value that they can get from high school golf?
I mean, I think the greatest thing is that you, like I've said, you build relationships with people that maybe you wouldn't have. You meet a great group of people, and you just get a great friend group and community that you can kind of like see every day. It also is just a great way to get yourself in a competitive environment. I know some girls have asked me like, hey, I'm thinking about playing in AJGAs. I really want to play in college. Is high school golf worth it? Like, is it really valuable if I want to play in college? Because sometimes the competition isn't maybe as good in the high school tournaments. But I'm like, you know what? I think still the experience of playing on a team is so valuable, and learning the social skills of that is huge. And also, if you make it to state, getting to put yourself on that big stage against other great players is really good as well. So I think playing high school golf is key. You learn so many social skills, and you just learn ways to bounce off of other players at practice and learn new ways to practice. And also, if you're playing college, you're going to be on a team in college. So you might as well get used to being on a team now.
So I imagine Zionsville always had a pretty strong schedule, but think back, maybe you had like an after school 9-hole tournament, or maybe you got paired with somebody, who probably maybe they weren't on a real strong team. When you were playing with competition that, was struggling, or maybe kind of some of these teams that weren't as good as Zionsville, how did you handle that? Like, how did you get motivated for maybe those 9-hole tournaments where you knew the competition just wasn't going to be very good?
I think the biggest thing is, for me, I've always played the golf course. You can't play people, because if you play people and they're playing poorly, then you're probably going to play poorly. I used to do this. My parents would tell me a lot. They're like, we noticed you played kind of down to their level, which is hard. It's really hard to not let yourself do that. Just kind of lower your expectations. So for me, is I would always play the golf course. My goal today is to break par. If I can break par and beat the golf course as hard as I can, then that's a win. And it kind of just, it reverts your focus from the players to the course, and then you can stay focused on what you're doing instead of letting the other players and their score distract you. That's the best way that I've been able to kind of get through that challenge, because it's hard. It's definitely it's something you don't think about when you have to face that.
I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I don't think there's any question that when you look back at your life, that you certainly don't regret the fact that you played high school golf. And there's been a couple of elite players in Indiana that made the decision not to play high school golf. And I've often asked myself the question, I wonder in 15 or 20 years when they look back at what they did play in during the high school season, if that will mean as much as maybe a state championship would have meant, or two state championships, whatever the case may be. But, one of the reasons that I hear parents and players sometimes talk about, I don't want to play high school golf because you've already said it, the competition might not be that great all the time. The courses are short. And my thought process on that has always been, just like you said, you go play the course, and if you're an elite player who hits the ball a long way off the tee, and you're going to have a lot of wedges, then certainly high school golf is an excellent opportunity for you to improve your wedge game, your short game, your chipping, your putting, all those things that sometimes you don't get exposed to when you're playing a 6,200-yard golf course.
It's my wedge game. That was the most important part of high school golf. You have so many wedges, which is fun. I know a lot of people always say the courses are short, but you still got to shoot the score. You got to make the putts. You're getting competition. You're getting reps in. You're playing lots of different golf courses. So I absolutely think, your wedge game is key when it comes to high school golf. But to be able to have that in your back pocket when you go into college and having that experience of having to grind out your wedges, I think that's huge. And that really helped me a ton.
What was your best round or your most memorable round? When you think to high school golf, just what are a couple rounds that just really stick out in your mind for whatever reason?
Yeah. Individually, I think it was regionals my senior year, or I can't remember what year. I shot 64 at Smock golf course, and so that was really fun. That was my personal record, and I got to play with one of my friends that day, Jocelyn Bruck, who's also an incredible player. I just remember we had a great time, and obviously the golf was really good, so that always makes it fun. I think another one is Bear Slide with Kaylin Henderson. She's one of my really good friends as well. She's an incredible player, and I just remember playing with her and having a great time. We both played well, and honestly, a lot of the rounds, I don't exactly remember what I shot. I just remember having fun with the girls I was playing with, which I think is so important too when you're playing, just to keep it fun.
Could you not have fun with Kaylin? She's a hoot. I follow her on social, and I'm like, I don't even really know her. I know her, but man, she's funny.
Oh, I know. She's hilarious. And she's exactly how she is, on video. That's exactly what she's like in person. It's great. Yeah, she's incredible. But I also think, the rounds at state were always super exciting to be in contention. They were not only fun, but it was also oh, wow, this counts. And we're in it, and we were in the hunt a couple times. So it was just super exciting to be a part of that as well.
Well, you've had a pretty memorable couple of years post college, getting ready for the next stage in your golf career. I'm sure you enjoy watching the Masters this week, having been a past performer in the Augusta National Women's Championship. But as we close this thing out, just tell everybody what's next for Annabelle Pancake.
Well, I'm actually getting married in a couple weeks, so I'm very excited for that. I know that's not golf related, but that's a big point in my life, so I'm very excited. Get married to Nathan Webb, who I met freshman year. But then golf-wise, really just playing on the Epson Tour this year. I have full Epson status, which I'm very excited about. So I'll have 18 tournaments that I'll play. I've already played in 3 in Florida on the West Coast coming up, and a U.S. Open qualifier. So just playing in a lot of tournaments, which I talk to my friends. It feels like endless summer golf. It's great. It's super fun. I do miss the team aspect. It's hard traveling alone sometimes, and I miss the girls, but I get to play golf every day. So So life is good and I'm very blessed. So it'll be a fun year. I'm excited.
That's awesome. Well, Annabelle, we've really enjoyed talking to you today, and thank you for all the insight that you've given about high school golf. I know it's going to help players and parents and coaches just kind of look past maybe the big picture or look past the results and these low scores and just say, hey, there's a lot more to high school golf that you can get out of it. But we've really enjoyed talking to you today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Well, Crystal, I think that was some really good stuff from Annabelle Pancake, and I'd be curious to know what your takeaways were.
Oh, so many. I love talking to Annabelle. One of the big things that I heard that I'd really think could benefit parents is Annabelle said at a young age, probably 13, 14 years old, her parents encouraged her to own her own game. And you and I as coaches talk about that a lot, how we want players to own their own game. And basically what that means is be responsible for your own practice. Like, you're the one that needs to get out there and be practicing. It shouldn't always be your parents forcing you to go to the golf course, forcing you to work on your game. You've got to own that at a certain point. And I think I would like to see girls do that a little bit sooner. I feel like a lot of times the most successful girls that I see that are successful past, in playing college golf is they had that conversation like Annabelle had with her parents of, you know what, this is your responsibility. Yeah, maybe it was tough initially for them to do that, but it really paid off in the end.
Well, I couldn't disagree with any of that. And I think the things I focus on as a coach and what really struck some nerves with me in her remarks stemmed around the team concept. I thought it was interesting at the end when she talked about it was much more fun to travel with the team than to be out there playing on your own and traveling by yourself. And I just feel that high school golf and the team experience is so valuable. And it's universal on any team that you play in, not just in the sport of golf, but everybody has a role on a team. And I think that it's a challenge as coaches to get high school players to realize what their role might be. Not everybody's going to be cut out to be in the starting five. So if you're not one of those players, what's your role on the team and what do you have to do to maybe change that role? And then the other thing that I thought was really poignant was when she talked about how her parents told her that she needed to always keep fun in the game. And again, I think that's something that we see as coaches with various parents. And I would say that the players that we've seen that have achieved success, by and large, a lot of them have tried to keep fun in the game rather than worry about performance. And expectations, man, can derail a lot of players.
When she talked about some of her favorite round or most memorable rounds in high school, the one was obviously at Smock where she shot 64, but more of her experience was just how much she enjoyed playing with her friends, with people she knew, with her team, and those experiences. And I would say the same with my high school career and even college career. Yeah, I do remember some good rounds, but as a whole, those 8 years of high school and college golf, really, I remember the travel experiences. I remember the times in the team van. It's more of the times with the team that I remember than really my individual performance.
It is, and it gets back to this continuing theme that I see through these podcasts where she talked about being in the hunt at the state championship and how much fun that was. And I think that's the challenge for players. You've really got to find competition to be fun. You've got to relish that experience. You have to really seize the fact that it's a real privilege to feel nervous at the end of a round because you're in contention, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And we just I think have seen it so many times that the players have a really hard time combining fun with competition. And the ones that are successful, they've got that figured out.
So I think finding that balance is a challenge for the players and one that you just don't want to stop focusing on for the parents and the players and the coaches. All right, Ted. Well, this has been episode 6 of the High School Golf Podcast. We've enjoyed talking about the benefits of playing high school golf, and we'll look forward to our next episode.